Hi, folks, and welcome to a very special 2025 Games of the Year episode of Aches and Games. It's our second year we've been doing this, and as is now becoming traditional, we'll be running through our favourite 5 games that we played this year. So it's regardless of when they were released, and not considering any of the great games that might have come out this year, but we haven't got to. Inevitably, we'll get to them next year, the year after, or, 2035, based on some of the ones I've played this year. Don't forget, if you enjoy this, then please check out our monthly show, Talking Life, Games, and whatever else comes to mind. In between episodes, hit us up on socials, search Aches and Games. I'm Giles Nicholson, Giles Run West on most things. Joining me, as always, is my good friend James Hopes. How are you doing, James? I think we're both looking forward to this one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's good fun last year. We were a bit more dressed up this year, but we've gone more festive this year. Yeah. I've noticed that my reindeers are kind of off the bottom of the screen, so I need to occasionally pump up my bosoms in order to show them off. Might get a few extra views as well if I keep doing that every now and again. So, all good. Reindeers all around. Excellent. Good. Yeah, good fun last year. I can't remember what any of the top 5 were last year, but they were really good games. I was surprised when I look back today to work out what my top 5 would be for this year. How many great games there have been this year? We played quite a lot. Quite a few of them have been our games of the month, which is handy, because that's obviously meant to be discovering new things we wouldn't have played otherwise, so that's all good. But yeah, loads to choose from, and I'm kind of still mulling over in my mind, so I'll kind of make up as I go along, as always. But the top one is definite because that's perfect. So yeah, we shall see. Very exciting.
Excellent. I like the teaser there, and I can confirm to any listeners on the audio version, James has a cracking set of reindeers, which he's displaying for us all to see. Yeah. It's been a busy year, hasn't it? I was surprisingly organised this year, so I can even stun you with some statistics. I played over 30 games, which is kind of mad. I gave 1 10, 2 9s, and a load of 8s and 8.5. Most of the others were 7s, so like you said, some really good ones, some hard choices. And in a bit of a surprise for long-time listeners especially, and for me and sure for you as well, James, I played 12 new games this year, 12 games that came out this year. Wow. I played this year, which... given that I'm a cheapskate and I haven't bought anything new, that just really speaks to the value of the subscription services. So, yeah, general reflections, sounds like it's been a good year and looking forward to the top 5.
Yeah, fortunately, I've been quite clever this year. I'm quite clever generally. Yeah, so we know each other. We went to a great school.
No comment.
But this year I took photographs of the games I played and for social media purposes. So that helped me go back to the 1st of January and work out what I've actually played. I was surprised at some of the games I played this year because I thought they were last year or even the year before, but they were this year apparently. So happy days. All the more for the list.
There we go. Do you want to kick us off, James?
Yes. Do you want to describe how we're going to do it, Giles? We're just going to go backwards and forwards for our top 5 and then a few honourable mentions and then anything we're looking forward to and all that kind of jazz, isn't it?
That sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, well, we'll do... alternate, I think. And I think the only thing is if the same game comes up that we've got higher in the list, then maybe we'll have to try and cover that one as we go. But let's see how we go, because you said you know your top one, but the others are sort of no particular order, is that right?
I've put them in order as of about 5 minutes ago. And as listeners from last year will know, that we don't share with each other what our top 5 are until the actual show. So it creates an air of frisson and excitement and a soupçon of drama, which is always nice. But it does also mean we might be the same top 5 and it'd be a really boring show. But I doubt it, because we've got quite different tastes. And
it's unlikely.
We disagreed a lot more this year as well, if you watch the shows back. We agreed on everything last year, but this year, some of the games that Giles loved I thought were arse and vice versa. So all good.
There we go. Right. Who doesn't love a bit of drama?
Also, special listener peoples, we might have a special guest later on popping in as well, if it works out. So look out for a special guest later on in the show.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that. Yeah. Go for it, James. What's your number 5 then?
My number 5, I'm assuming you're going to edit in some exciting drum rolls later, is... Hey, there you go. It's one of our games of the month, /subclub, whatever we call it these days, and it's Prince of Persia. The Lost Ground thingy. Because it's weird. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to, because it's really hard in parts. But when I decreased the difficulty, that increased my enjoyment exponentially. So it's a really good game. I don't think I went for any platformery type things. It's not really a platformer, is it? It's a side-scrolling RPG type action type platformery bits. There's lots of bouncing between walls. So that's the very definition of a platform. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
It's the multi-thingy. What's it? Jobby.
Genre.
Good. Yes, genre. That's the word I was looking for. So, Prince of Persia, as you know, long-term sequels to everything. This one came out probably this year, last year, year before, recent-ish.
I would have looked it up if I'd have known. Yeah, 2023, I think.
Yeah, so in the last couple of years at least. But I played it start to finish this year. It was our game of the month. We played it a bit at first, found it very difficult. But we really liked, between us, I think Joel's agree, it was all fast-paced, it was all quite action-packed. There was fights constantly, there was no sort of dull moments. Loads of really good wall jumping, jumping under and over and through and round things. Lots of special abilities that you picked up throughout the game. So I think I said there's a Metroidvania, didn't I, where you picked up certain new skills and you can go back and do old things, and then there's a massive map, and it's just really exciting and interesting. I said at the time the graphics weren't amazing, but they were good enough for the game. Very much an up, down, left and right. There's no sort of 3D type going into the screen type jobbies, so it's quite straightforward for people who aren't that great at some of those. And I just really enjoyed it. Like the action, like the adventure, like the storyline, like the concept, like the ending. Great game, bit different. Only one in the top 5 for that ilk, so that's why I went for it.
Fantastic. Prince of Persia was kind of one of my honourable mentions. So, just echo what James said, really. And it was in my top 5 until fairly late on when it got displaced by a couple of others. We did sort of move to, unofficially or not, to a kind of half-point scoring system. And that helped me a lot to decide on my final rankings, because I think there were a lot of 8s or 8s and a bit. And I upgraded a few of them to 8.5. And Prince of Persia, for me, was on that 8.5 with 2 others. And unfortunately, the other 2 made my top 5, and Prince of Persia just missed out. So, great choice, James. Yes, I did very much enjoy it myself too.
I'm always a bit harsher, so I would have gone for 8 out of 10. Maybe 82%. I would have gone for 82%.
let's not do that. That's far too much to think about and quarrel over 1% on the internet. That's what. Yeah, let's leave that for others. Talking of quarrel, though, controversially, my 5th game of the year, or the 5th in my list, is Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Wow.
Which has kind of swept the board, hasn't it, on Game of Year awards? Well, first of all, shock horror. It's a new game that we've both played.
Yeah.
So that's worth noting in itself. And also, it made my list and I loved it. But it has, it was at Keeley's, it was Game of the Year. I think I just saw IGN gave it their Xbox Game of the Year, which I'm not quite sure what the criteria is. It is on Xbox, but it's also on lots of other things.
Yeah.
And it was very good. That was another one where I felt like it was a kind of 8.5. Not my first ever turn-based RPG, but I'm not sure if I've ever... Oh no, I have completed a couple. Eternal Sonata, I remember, that was quite good. Based on Chopin, and he was dying on his deathbed and hallucinating this world made of music. Yeah, it's really good if you get a chance. But yeah, it's not my usual fare. The active battles really, I think, is what made it stand out for me. It was really, it wasn't the sort of passive watching numbers kind of fly off characters. There's a bit of that, but because you could parry and you could block and you could dodge, really felt engaged with those battles, which I enjoyed. Loved the story, emotional, everything everyone else has said, really. And I'll go a bit easy just in case it comes up on your list at any point. But it's good to broaden horizons, isn't it? And this was a game that was so good that it took me into a genre that I don't usually play. The only reason I'd say for me that it isn't higher up the list is the difficulty and the grind. And I actually think grinding through those sort of smaller battles and stuff, I think that could well be a me problem. So I wanted to highlight it. Listeners, viewers may remember that I actually found out pretty much at the end that I hadn't really made use of any of the pictos, which I think is one of the sort of currencies that you can upgrade yourself with, which might explain why I found it so blimmin' hard on medium or normal, and I was really enjoying it, but it was a fight, and so I got to the end of the first act on normal, died a lot on the big final battle in the first act, and then decided at that point that I was going to drop it down to easy or story or whatever they called it, at which point it just became a little bit too easy. So I was enjoying the story, but then you lost the thrill of the battle. So again, very much could be a me problem, but Clair Obscur Expedition 33, certainly up there for me, but not my ultimate game of the year.
There you go. I'm sure we'll talk about it more in a bit.
I think we might. What's your next one, James?
Number 4, I've put down a Dispatch.
Ooh.
Yeah, it could have been higher. It's an awesome game. So I heard about it on a different podcast. I've never heard of the game before at all. It's a kind of a choicey type game, so you make choices. And it's very episodic, so it's in 8 different episodes. I think they were released in 4 blocks of 2 a while ago, but the most recent 2 coming out in November, so it's quite recent. So I played the whole lot together when they were all out, which made it a lot easier, so I just managed to work my way through them. Did one every evening for 8 evenings, maths fans out there. That's 8 episodes. And I just loved it. It's really well done. It's very much a cartoon style. So you play a person who used to be a superhero, but a superhero who didn't have any powers. So it's a superhero who had a big metal suit, similar to Iron Man in some ways, if you wanted to accuse it of being plagiarism. He's called Mecha Man in a giant suit. He inherited it from his dad and his dad before that. Sort of a generational Mecha Man suit superhero thing. It was doing really well, and then one day he got smashed out of the sky and his suit got destroyed. And the source of the power inside the suit got taken away, so he couldn't use the suit ever again. Very sad. So he's kind of down on his luck and wasn't sure where to go in his life. And then he was approached by Blonde Blazer, who sort of runs a company called SDN, the Superhero Dispatch Network. And they dispatch superheroes to disasters and incidents. So it's like members of the public sign up for a security service involving superheroes. They pay a fee, and then if their cat gets stuck on a tree or they need some help with stuff being nicked or whatever, then they call up SDN and the dispatcher dispatches a superhero that's most appropriate to the job. So your role is to be a dispatcher for the worst team in the superhero delivery network, made up of superheroes who used to be villains. So they've all had a change of heart. They've got out of the bad life and they've gone into the good life, and they form the Z team or the Z team, depending on which country you choose to talk in. And your job as a dispatcher is to try and make them into a wonderful team of superheroes to solve incidents and crimes. But it's quite dramatic. So part of it is to do the dispatching part. So you have a morning shift and an afternoon shift per episode, and you dispatch the right superheroes based on their skill set. You upgrade their points and levels as they achieve different things. And based on the incident they're going to, you have to find out whether that's sort of a brain power type thing or a strength type thing or a vigor type thing, and then match and marry these superheroes to the correct jobs. So that's quite fun in itself, I quite like. There's hacking parts of it, so there's parts where you can hack into a system and chase things around and do fun stuff like that. But the most important part of the game is the story. So as I hear, it was designed originally for a Netflix series, and then at the last minute they decided to make it into a game instead of releasing it on Netflix. So you can see it's got all the production values of a proper series that would have been very good on Netflix. But in the end they made it into a game and released it in 8 episodes, and there we go. So some of the gameplay elements are kind of just been inserted. You don't need them in there. It just makes it more fun. There's lots of sort of quick time events to do different battles and to do different things, which is fun. Some quite adult humour in there. One of the episodes starts off quite graphically when someone's having a bit of a dream. So that was quite a shock when Sarah walked into the strange grunting noise and was like, "What the earth are you playing?" It's not been like this at all, the rest of it. Lots of effing and blinding, lots of penis gags. And yeah, just really well done. Voice acting's awesome because it's obviously meant to be a TV series. Storyline's great. The whole thing's just awesome. It's just really high level of what that kind of game is. So on the downside, it's interactive. You can choose to actually not to interact at all. So you can just watch it through the entire thing if you want to. But I chose the interactive version, which made it a bit more interesting. You choose some of the storyline, but I think it's only slight variations. So you pick one option and then it takes you on a slight detour, but you always get back to the same place, I think. So I think wherever you chose, you kind of get back to the same place in that format. So it's not massively interactive, but it's just really good. And it's in bite-sized chunks. Every episode is about 45 minutes long, so you can play one episode a night, enjoy it, put it away till the next day, and it's just brilliantly done. Graphics amazing, sounds amazing. Amazing game, loved it.
Cool. So a late entry into the Shears list, because that was, like you said, I think the last episode was November, and sounds like you've been playing it this month.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the tour in our last month's episode, for those who have already listened to it, but we will talk about it on our next month's episode, because I played it all in December in the space of 8 days. Loved it.
Good stuff. Well, I look forward to hearing more about that next time. But yeah, it's certainly highly rated, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
and another new game. What is going on? This is
And
very off-brand.
weirdly, I paid for this one as well. I don't know what came over me.
Oh,
It's like 25 quid. It's like a proper money. Like,
it must be Christmas.
yeah.
Another game I paid for, but not very new, is Alan Wake 2. So that's my fourth on the list. And again, relatively recently, played it last month or finished it last month. So it's probably fresh in people's minds if you listen to the monthly show. So I won't go over old ground. It was an interesting one though, because I think my expectations were so high for this game that I felt like talking about it last month. I was coming off it a bit disappointed, in the sense that it had really amazing highs, but had sort of some issues. And then the more I've thought about it, sort of reflected on it, overall, I just really enjoyed it. So when I was looking back at games of the year, this is another big, much like Claire Obscure, it's a sort of big, story-rich, high production value type game. And I don't actually have many of those on my list, and I really felt that this was an experience coming off the back of a slightly failed attempt to play God of War, which I've talked enough about. This really kind of reminded me that these sort of big bombastic games can really still sort of scratch that itch. So yeah, highest of expectations, didn't consistently hit them, but the highs were very high. I think there were 3 or 4 sequences in this game that are kind of up there in my favourite gaming experiences, so that's already puts it in contention for this year. It's very cinematic, and I'm a movie guy, so it definitely played to my kind of preferences. Thrilling. It's a horror kind of action adventure. It was properly spooky. It was also sort of interestingly weird and kind of made me laugh out loud a couple of times, which is not something that always happens during games. And ultimately, I sort of devoured it, which is the real test, isn't it? If you, like you just described with Dispatch, really, if you kind of can't put it down or keep going back to it sort of day after day, that's a sign of a good game. I've actually started some more of the DLC since we last spoke, and again, not something I regularly do once I finish a game, especially if it's reasonably long. I tend to want to change direction. So again, all good signs. Great game, really enjoyed it. Looking forward to what Remedy do next. And I think they've already done the trailer for the next Control, haven't they, in the Game Awards this year? So looking forward to that. But yeah, Alan Wake 2 is my next on my list. James.
Lovely. I'm just going to throw in a little wild card now, because I played one game with Sarah this year, and that's her favourite game of the year, because we've only played one game. And I was going to mention it anyway, but it's not in my top 5, and that's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which Giles played and finished pretty much last year. I think you finished it last year, didn't you? And it's one of your games of the year for last year, whereas I only started in January. But yeah, great game. Me and Sarah played that together, which is the only game we played together this year. Took us a few weeks to do it, based on shifts and stuff, so I think we started in January, maybe finished it in March. But again, listen to Giles' review from last year, but basically it's based on Indy. It's a whole new story set a few years between other stories from the past. And again, it's very epic, very dramatic, very film-like, great musical score, great voice acting, great stories, some good puzzles in there, really good game. Yeah, could easily be in my top 5, but just missed out. But being that Sarah loved it, I thought I'd throw it in the middle there. Lovely. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you for the opportunity. Back to me, number 3 is another oldish game, Silent Hill 2. I played Silent Hill 2 start to finish this year. I've never played the original, so this is all completely fresh for me. And obviously it's the remastered modern version, which played on PlayStation 5. And yeah, again, loved it. Really interesting characters I found in that the monsters were quite different and quite scary in some ways. They all acted differently. They all were genuinely weird and freaky. Sarah watched it for like half an hour and was too freaked out by the characters, so gave up on that one. So that's definitely not her game of the year. Interesting storyline. Again, it's very much based on the original game. So if you play the original game, it's pretty much exactly the same storyline. Nothing's different. You go back to it's to do with your wife, isn't it? So your wife's kind of unwell. Maybe. Yeah. You're kind of unwell because you're a novelist and you can't think of anything to write for a book. So you've got sort of a writer's block. So the two of you get on a boat together and go off somewhere to do something. No, that's the other game. Blimey, I'm talking about Alan Wake.
I was going to say, this sounds a lot like Alan Wake. I've not played Silent Hill 2.
No, Silent Hill
Should we
2.
keep this in?
Yeah, why not? Silent Hill 2, you're James Sutherland, aren't you? My namesake, James, blimey. Yes. And your wife in that one has disappeared a few years ago and is dead, supposedly. But then you get a letter from her from beyond the grave saying, "Come meet me in Silent Hill in our favourite place." That's that game, blimey. Makes more sense because it's got Silent Hill in it. So then you get in a car and you drive to Silent Hill and park up weirdly, thinking, "Oh, I know my wife's died 3 years ago. I'm going to go to Silent Hill anyway and look for her around." But Silent Hill, a place we used to love together, has turned into some kind of rat-infested hellhole full of baddies and zombies and all kinds of monsters. And it's a little bit run down. So you start off walking through a graveyard, you meet a strange character. You meet lots of strange characters in the game. And you go on a big story, and you go through lots of places. You go up and over and into buildings and explore lots of things. You go through hospitals and prisons and all kinds of dank, murky places. Explore lots of things, lots of darkness, lots of fog. Silent Hill's very famous for fog. Alan Wake's not that famous for fog, but there is a lot of fog in it, to be fair. And yeah, so fog everywhere, baddies everywhere, constant action, quite interesting. The only downside is some of it's a little bit repetitive. So to clear a building, you have to literally go into every room and in the building. So if you're clearing a prison, you're climbing over walls, you're bursting through different things to climb every single room to get the bits to continue. So that gets a bit grindy after a while. But I enjoyed the storyline. Strange ending, like it was in the original one. A bit unsatisfactory, the ending, because again, like most games, you never know what's real and what's in the mind of the person. So I won't spoil it. But yeah, that's kind of the whole theme of the game. But really interesting. Played it all in a few weeks, probably about 20 hours. Legendary game, definitely holds up. Really enjoyed it. And now very much looking forward to playing Silent Hill F in the new year, which is obviously the next one in the series, although I'm related to the original because it's in a different country with different people.
Yeah, but very well reviewed. I think people were a bit nervous about Silent. Well, they were nervous about the remake because it was Bloober Team, who I've enjoyed some of their previous stuff, but I think people were surprised how well Silent Hill 2 remake came out, and then Silent Hill F came out, and it was also really well reviewed, and as was Alan Wake. It's a totally different game, as we've established. Oh, I'm going to enjoy that for a very long time. When you described a place that people used to really like, and then you went back and it was a sort of rat-infested hellhole, and I was kind of thinking, I'm sure. I mean, Torquay, maybe, if you go back far enough. I think that's pretty... Sorry to our listeners.
Most of the UK coastline, in fact, to be fair.
That's true.
And town centres and everywhere else.
Yeah, it's just Plague Island, unfortunately. I'm sure things will get better. The song did promise that. Yeah, well, Silent Hill 2 is also, I don't know if it is on one of the higher PlayStation Plus tiers or if it was one of the free games 1 month, but I certainly bagsied it if it was the latter. So I'm looking forward to playing that, particularly from your description, and I will hopefully hit that one next year. Good.
It's saying there's so many games involving dead wives and fog. It's really hard to keep up. So
yeah. Spookiness. You can easily see how it happened. Yeah. Well, interestingly, without I think hopefully completely preempting my top three, that is the end of it for me for big, like high budget, narrative based games, which is one of the interesting themes I think coming out of this year. When I looked at sort of what to choose for this year for the top five, I obviously went back to my kind of ratings, which was the main driver, but also really wanted to get a sort of variety and a sense of what I've been playing. But one of those games that I've been playing a lot is Lonely Mountains Snow Riders. So this is a really cute little skiing game. I was going to say snowboarding. It's definitely skiing. Where it's a very simplistic graphics, very, very pared back soundscape, but really effective. It's got this almost sort of low polygon type look, but with a kind of soft focus. The sound just gives you that sense of being kind of on a mountain by yourself, carving your way through the snow, which is exactly what I was looking for. I really enjoyed the first game, which was called Lonely Mountains Downhill, where you were on a bike, and that was tending to be in kind of more arid, mountainous places. And this one, obviously, a little bit more snow-based, as you would imagine. But there's a whole part of this game, which is the whole mode. In fact, it was really heavily focused on in the marketing, which is about racing with your friends or other people online. I have not touched that at all because I got no interest in it, honestly, although I do like racing games. But for me, downhill and now snow riders, the beauty of it was that kind of isolation, really chilled experience, paired with the fact that it's incredibly frustrating because the way the camera's positioned, I'm thinking about you and your thoughts on Keeper now, James. The camera's positioned and the speed at which you're heading down the mountain, you can easily come a cropper and go absolutely flying bum over whatever head. I'm trying to think of the polite version of what I wanted to say. Bum over head, is that a thing? No, okay, we'll work on that. So yeah, you can easily come a cropper, and then you just have to learn. You just have to learn the paths. There's lots of different shortcuts, lots of different routes. You can be making last-minute decisions. You can be using the ability to jump to kind of cut off whole sections of the mountain. Each mountain has a number of different trails on it. And within those trails, you have different objectives. So one of them might be to get down the mountain with, say, under 5 crashes or under a certain number of crashes. The other one might be get down the mountain within a certain time. And then the hardest one will be within a certain time and with fewest crashes. So there's loads of replayability, but actually it's just replayable because it's just feels really good to just be on a mountain, cruising down it by yourself, in my experience, and it's nice and short bursts, so you can just go for do a quick run, enjoy yourself. I really loved it, and there are lots of DLCs for downhill, the bike one. They brought out a DLC for snow riders this winter, which is based in Scotland, which I've very much got my eye on, and I think that whether it's over Christmas or maybe kind of through the winter, that feels like a 6 or 7 quid that I will happily spend. So yeah, Lonely Mountain Snow Riders for me is part of Game Pass. It's available on all kinds of platforms. Very straightforward, very simple, very addictive, very rewarding. Loved it.
Very cool. If you don't mind, I'm gonna stick with a family theme now. We've done Sarah's favourite game of the year, so I might introduce our special guest now. So I'm going to slip to the side slightly and.
Fantastic. Hi, Joshua.
Hey, Stan. How are you? So Joshua wanted to talk about his favourite game of the year, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what's it called, first off?
It's called Water Park Simulator. It's basically where you start from an abandoned water park. You need to make it luxury by building slides and pools and that stuff. I really like it 'cause it's so funny. You can tase people with a taser.
Yeah, you can tase people with a taser for being bad, can't you? If they've not paid to come in.
Whack them with a bat.
Whack them with a bat, yeah.
Occasionally there's this guy called Queso will come in, start stomping around, he'll steal your hot dogs and poop next to your stand. Yeah.
It's meant to be a famous YouTuber, isn't he?
Yeah, Queso.
Yeah, he's a big guy, and he comes in and you hear the big heavy footprints as he films in like a big dinosaur type figure. What else do you do in it? You start off with just like I said, an abandoned wasteland, isn't it? You start off with a little area, and then you can put down really basic pool in it. What's the first pool?
Rusty.
Yeah, a little rusty pool and a rusty slide.
It's horrible.
But then as you expand, you build up your star ratings.
Yeah.
Put more important stuff in.
And later on, you can get these quests from a guy called Yogi, and it'll give you hot tubs and saunas. Yeah. But on the last quest that I'm doing right now, he wants me to give him 500,000.
Yeah,
I'm quite angry at him.
I don't know if it's dodgy or a decent blessing of Yogi. He sits on a big tower out on the street next to a shop.
Yeah. Somehow somebody stole us.
It's Daddy's kind of game, isn't it? You build stuff, you recruit the staff, you build pools, you build slides, you build hot dog stands, you build all kinds of things, and then you gradually work your way up through the rankings. Yeah. It's actually really good. It's a lot of fun. But what's the worst thing? What can people do in the pool?
Start weeing. But...
Yeah, I can pool. I can poo in the pool, the guests. If there's not a toilet nearby, you have to go around and fish the pool out in a bag, take it out, leave it clean. It's a good fun game. So, your favourite game of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you give out of 10 if you had to?
9.
9 out of 10. There we go.
9. Fantastic.
It's Josh's favourite game of the year, so thank you for popping in. We shall see you later on.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye.
Brilliant. Good work. Thank you, Joshua. Excellent. We're going to edit that perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll work fine.
It will work brilliantly, and
Yeah.
if there's any sound issues, then it will not come across at all as us shoehorning it into that section. But no, that was really cool, and we do still invite any comments for anyone else's top 5 games of the year. Send us through our socials or through our email address. We'll maybe cover them in our January episode. Cool, thank you, James. So I think we're down to. Have you got 2 left? Have I got it right? Have I talked too long?
2 left, yeah. I was going to say if we do have any future guests, I won't be sitting next to me on my lap. Just to bear that in mind for anyone who might write in about. Yeah, we
you might make exceptions.
Yeah. Very much depends on the person and volunteer. Good. So top 2 time now, which is the most exciting time of the year in some ways. And for me, all the games in the games of the year should be the ones that I feel are most epic. For me, a game of the year has to be epic. So good. So my number 2, which I completely forgot to play this year until I looked at my photographs of old games earlier, was the original Hellblade. Which is Senua's Sacrifice.
Sacrifice, that's the one. Yeah.
Hey, phew. I know I was going to get it right. No, I was going to get it wrong. I got it right. Even better. Good. So, the original Hellblade, it came out a while ago, didn't it? And it's had a sequel since, which I've not played yet. I'm holding my powder in a dry fashion for that, whatever the phrase for that one is. But this one is about a girl called Senua, and she makes a sacrifice. In short, in more detail, she has some mental health issues. Obviously no bad thing, but for her, they make life quite tricky for her because she hears a lot of voices in her head. And as a game player, it makes life tricky for you because it recommends using a headset for it. And it has some binaural sound, so you can hear the voices in her head as she would hear them if she wasn't a character on a game. So you're going through, and you get to a certain location, you hear like a few different voices in your head telling you different things. So some being helpful voices, some are very harsh voices, some are just very distracting voices, and it's really weird. It makes you feel odd. Again, Sarah tried this one for about 5 minutes and cracked up at the thought of it because it sounded so weird in her head that she scarfed and never came back. We've not played a game since together. But for me, it made it a lot more interesting having those voices in your head because it added a more dimension to the gameplay. It felt you're in it. So as you explored the location, these voices would be all around you in both ears, and it's just really weird. Anyway, back to the plot. So she's going through. She kind of had a boyfriend / partner / special friend who potentially might have died or went away. As in most of these games, people either die or go away. You're never quite sure until the end of the game. Even then, you've probably got no idea at all. So you're in this mission trying to sort of avenge his disappearance / death / quest, and go through lots of locations, and they're all quite barren and unpleasant. And again, like with most games, you're never quite sure if a lot of it is in the person's mind or whether it's in real life. And this game is particularly in that ilk. You never really know what's happening. And as the game progresses, the voices are still there, and the sort of the backdrops and the locations get more and more strange and more sort of disjointed and fragmented. And it's kind of a reflection of her mental health gradually worsening throughout the game until it crescendos at the end. There's loads of battles to fight throughout. That's pretty constant, and they're quite interesting battles. Not particularly special, but they're non-stop and quite fun. I enjoyed those ones. Locations are good. Gameplay's good. Again, the voice acting's very good. It's the kind of thing that probably would have won a voice acting award a couple of years ago if such a thing existed. So that was good. And I enjoyed the ending. Again, it's like I said before, it's a kind of ending that left you with more questions than answers. But what I really liked about the game is they actually put some effort into it. So they had loads of workshops with people with various different mental health issues, people with schizophrenia and various other different things. And they learnt a lot and did it very sympathetically. So this forum met on a regular basis, and they made the game based around trying to make it as realistic as possible for someone who suffers with the various different mental health issues that Senua does in the game. So I really appreciate that one, and I found it very engrossing and engaging and immersive, and just really enjoyed it. It wasn't massively long. It was only about 8 to 9 hours, I think, maybe 10 or 11. Let's go with 10. Why not? And yeah, it's just a memorable game that will probably stick with me for a long time. Number 2.
Fantastic. Are you looking forward to playing the second one? Is that on your list?
It will be, yeah. I know the second one's meant to be graphically amazing, but less actiony than the first one, and a bit more walking simulator-y than the first one. The first one had quite a bit of action to it, but the second one, a lot of people said it's more about appreciating the visuals rather than enjoying the gameplay.
Yeah, I really look forward to hearing your thoughts on the second one. I enjoyed it, but it was different as opposed to better, and I think from my point of view, yeah, really interested to hearing what you have to say. Everything you really liked about this one, I think you'll like about the second, but it is different, and they've gone for something different, and that's now out on PlayStation as well, isn't it? So anyone, wherever you're playing, listeners, if you fancy trying the first one, which was on everything, and the second one, which is now on everything, give it a go. We do like dark, don't we, James? Just looking back through our list so far, we've got Alan Wake and Silent Hill and Senua. We've got some misery. Clair Obscur, for me, certainly doesn't shy away from some of the darkest things in life. Well, let me brighten things up. So great. Because my second top, I can't think how to describe this. My second game of the year, number 2 in my rundown. There we go. That's a better way. Is, well, number one. First of all, I'm cheating, so apologies. Number 2 on my list is Moss, which is a VR game. But is Moss, the first Moss, I think was just called Moss, or maybe it was called Moss Book 1 in retrospect, a bit like Last of Us decided to be Part 1 when Part 2 came out, because Moss Book 2 also featured on my list. And so I've just gone with Moss, both books, for second and my top 5 this year, because I started the year playing the first one. And I think Craig Young recommended it to us. So, Craig, if you're still listening, thank you, because it was fantastic. And then I liked it so much, but I also felt like it was really a kind of winter game that I waited until this month to play the second one. Neither are big, probably, I think, 4 hours for the first one and maybe 6 for the second at most. So very much able to put the two together. And it is a continuous story. The first Moss finishes on a cliffhanger, which is then kind of you go on to explore the rest of the story in book 2. Sad that there doesn't appear to ever be a book 3, because I think the first one was from the 2010s of some description, 2018 or something, back in those days, pre-COVID, when we both had hair, not quite. But Moss 2 was, I think, still released a good 3 or 4 years ago, and there's been no sign of a sequel. There's a sort of multiplayer thing that they've just released. Anyway, it's a sort of storybook fairy tale world. You play as Quill, who's a mouse rather than a moss. She's a mouse in a land called Moss. But you also play as a reader. So in the sort of style of virtual reality, you're obviously kind of able to move your viewpoint around, and how this works in a kind of 3D platformer is that you're controlling Quill on screen, but you are also in the game as someone viewing what's going on, and so you're, as a reader, able to manipulate some of the landscape with your hands, with your controllers, and also obviously you're able to sort of look around. So your presence in the world is felt and is sort of explained in storyline terms. Really reminds me, it's this really sort of charming and kind of pleasant, sunny, fun fairy tale world, which is a nice break from all the doom and gloom that we do tend to enjoy. Reminded me a lot of things like The Princess Bride, Never Ending Story, stuff like that. Obviously, because you're a mouse and because of VR, it plays very well with perspective, so everything is kind of tiny little diorama in front of you. Your sort of control muscles sort of run in. Quill will run into screen, and then there's a scene essentially in front of you, and then you'll kind of run off the side, and then there'll be another scene. So you're always kind of static, but able to move around in terms of viewpoint. And so it gives this really nice sense of sort of scale. So as a mouse, you can come up against these huge enemies, but also sort of more human style or even sort of giant style bits of scenery around you. So that gives it a real impressive look. The first game was fairly straightforward. You've got a sword and you can do various little sort of swashbuckling-y type things. You're trying to kind of chase down this giant snake that's kind of caused some problems in the land of Moss. The second one is more epic, still on a tiny scale, obviously, because you're still a mouse. But you bring in a couple of different weapons that you have to switch between. There's a bit more at stake in terms of the world. Again, very sort of never-ending story. If you've been there with the Nothing taking over, I can't remember what it's called in Moss, but you are sort of fighting for the very existence of the land. And it's just, incredibly charming. VR for me, I felt like it should feature in my top 5 because I got the Quest about this time last year. There are lots of really cool little experiences on it, but in my experience, not many games that have really kind of kept me start to finish. So I sort of dabble in it. You can mess around as a DJ, you can pretend to be a orchestra conductor. Those are all really fun. But Moss and a couple of others were the ones that really grabbed me and felt like these were completely different experiences to what I could play on a flat sort of gaming option, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, etc. Moss really spoke to me, and it is one of my top 5 games of the year.
Why not? Fair play. Never played it yet, so still need to do that in the new year.
Recommend.
Maybe be in my top 5 next year. Who knows? Sounds unlikely because it's not dark enough or epic enough for me. Who knows? But should we just mention a few honourable mentions for the year before we really build up to our number ones, if that's okay? So
good plan.
Just mention a couple of little things that I've played throughout the year. Obviously, Josh has already mentioned Water Park Simulator, which I really enjoyed too. It's a really great game. It's like 98% overwhelmingly positive on Steam. Everyone loves it. And it's still been updated regularly as well. So it's really cool. And it's very charming, but also it's got deliberately amusing physics. So you get lots of puddles of water around the pools as people get out and sit on their sun lounges. Someone walks over it, they slip over in a dramatic fashion, or their legs bend in ridiculous angles. Hilarious fun to enjoy it. And also when you're crossing the road to get to the shop to buy your stuff for your park, people get regularly run over by the cars going past and just get catapulted up in the air. And some fly over the wall and land in your swimming pools in your complex. Great game, never changed. So I've been loving that one recently, so very much recommended. And it's quite cheap as well, so all good. A few other little things. I mentioned it earlier in the year, a game called Let's Build a Zoo, a really cutesy 8-bit retro type zoo building game where you just build walls and put animals in and solve some quests and stuff. Awesome fun. Spent loads of time on that one. Basically, I did an analysis today of how much time I spent on all the games, and the ones I spent loads of time on but weren't epic, I've mentioned in this little section now. So Water Park Simulator, Let's Build a Zoo, both awesome. And then last month we also talked about Motorsport Manager, which is like 10 years old, but I ploughed like 40 hours into that one. I've stopped now. I've got over the addiction now that I've got promoted finally. But again, if you like that kind of thing, if you like sort of sports strategy, really good game, very much recommended. And Hotel Architect, loved a bit of that one as well. Spent loads of time in that one, completed the game. Again, there's going to be some more DLC coming in the new year as well. They're releasing some new bits on the 18th of December. So again, if you like designing and building and managing stuff, that's the kind of game for you. And that's it, really. That's my honourable mentions. Games I spent loads of time playing, but weren't really amazing enough to be in the top 5, but certainly good enough to spend a ridiculous amount of time playing.
Nice. Yeah, I have a few to add. Mentioned VR, so the other 2 VR games I really enjoyed were Ghost Town, which I remember you just bought, haven't you?
Yeah.
Recently. So enjoy that. Hopefully you will do. It's kind of a like a puzzle adventure. Don't quite know what it is. You're investigating your brother's disappearance, so not your wife this time. Strangely, going off plan for the game story, and it's it's from the makers of Room, which people might have played on tablets or phones. It's also available in VR as well, I think, so it's really fun, really sort of physical, tangible feel to it in VR. It really uses the sort of nature of VR very well. Enjoyed that a lot, but just pipped by Moss and Red Matter, which is essentially a kind of similar thing, but on a I think, abandoned Mars spaceship or similar, but also, solving puzzles in virtual reality, moving from place to place, and an interesting story. And I've got Red Matter 2 as well for cheap, so look forward to playing that at some point. So a couple of VR games. The other few I wanted to mention were Rematch, because at one point that was kind of contending for my Lonely Mountains slot, because that was my play it for a few minutes game, and suddenly it's hours later. Went through a definite phase with Rematch over the summer. Really got into it and really enjoyed it, and it was the first game in a long time that I've played that is online against randos, and I was still mostly having a good time, although there were always the occasional idiot. Other than that, I mentioned Prince of Persia, which was great. South of Midnight I really enjoyed. It was on Game Pass. It's a 3D action adventure set in the Deep South with a sort of stop motion style animation. Really good, really interesting story. A world that is barely featured in gaming. So kind of, swamp, Deep South. Very much centered around sort of black fables of that region, which I really enjoyed learning about and playing through. And lastly, I think the one I wanted to call out was I Am Your Beast, which I played recently, talked about a lot on the podcast. And it was just, it made you feel like an absolute badass. Again, good sort of short chunk gaming, sort of another time trial type game, so you could kind of keep playing over and over again, just trying to get better. Felt really satisfying when you did chain things together. But yeah, recommend I Am Your Beast as well if anyone has a few minutes and a Game Pass subscription. That is something which I think will get its hooks into. So yeah, great year.
Not bad, is it? But busy.
No.
We've certainly got a lot covered off in our 12 episodes, so if you feel the urge, have a listen back through them or watch back through them. Obviously lots more detail reviews and all of those, plus a lot of bunkum about what we've been doing each month as well, which you can skip through and just go on to the gaming stuff if you just want to hear about gaming stuff. So yeah, this is a great year, another great year for gaming, Charles.
And what was your pinnacle, James? Let's give the people what they want.
You've already talked about it. It's Clair Obscure. It's quite straightforward for me. So just for the epicness, it was just epic. It was a surprise because it was from sort of an indie development team. It wasn't expected to be massively amazing. Came out on Game Pass, which really helped. It gave people a chance to try it out when they probably wouldn't have tried it out, because obviously it's going to be a turn-based combat game, which people aren't always generally interested in. I probably wouldn't have played it if it wasn't on Game Pass, but I'm glad I did. Graphically epic throughout. Characters are great, voice acting superb throughout, and again, in a lot of the Game Awards, the actress who played Mael got the Voice Game Artist of the Year. Someone, I can't remember her name now. Jennifer English, Jessica London, something to do with that. Something to do with the UK and someone name with a J, I think. We'll look at it.
I think you're right. The first time, yeah. Jessica English, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
Jennifer English, sorry, yeah.
Not Jessica Alba. Didn't sound like her at all. Good. So, really interesting storyline. It's kind of a brand new story, so it's not a story that seems to have been borrowed from anywhere else. It's completely off the pale, completely made up story by sort of a French development team. Again, we've talked about it in lots of depth before in various episodes, so please do follow back to listen to them. But basically, there's an expedition once a year to try and defeat a woman called a paintress who paints a number on the side of a monolith every year. And every year the number gets one less, and each year, unfortunately, it means that if you're that age or above, you get wiped out and turn into roses. So they send an expedition off each year. They sew some lovely suits with a little badge on the side. You go off to the monolith to try and defeat the paintress, and fun ensues every year, but it never quite works, weirdly. But this year it kind of worked, but in a strange way. I'm not meaning to spoil the ending. Just play the game, it's great. Combat's really interesting, like Giles mentioned, because he mentioned it's for number 5, so that was quite involved. You can actually put some strategy into it. And like I said, it's not just whacking people and seeing what numbers come off. It is building up a strategy, getting people to perform in the right order, picking the right characters, getting the right pictos, getting the right skill sets in the right order, so you can enhance what everyone else is doing. And like I said, I just really enjoyed it. Every part of it was special. Some of the cutscenes were great. Every cutscene was really good. You can hang around campfires and just chat to each other, which was a nice little feature. Everything led nicely into the next part. Some of the battle parts were really, really epic. Doing parries, especially doing the special parries, graphically were really impressive and made a lovely noise, and you felt really good when you're involved in them. And yeah, just as it went through, I thought it got better and better. There's some really big moments, which I won't spoil, but some quite emotional moments in there where things happen to certain people in certain ways, and that was quite special. And then at the end, you've gone through this massive drama, and the ending was completely unexpected, which I always like in a game. And again, left you with lots of questions and not many answers, but enough answers to mean that there wouldn't be a sequel because it sort of covered it enough, even though it's not quite how you expected or wanted it to end. So great game, very unexpected, very surprising. Good length, it's probably about 25-ish hours in the end, wasn't it, I guess, by the time we ploughed through it all. You could play loads more time on it if you wanted to by doing all the side little missions and, like Giles mentioned earlier, grinding. But I generally mainlined it through and managed to just about get through once I worked out what I was doing. Lots of new characters appeared throughout the game, lots of new special powers, kept you on the toes, really good for practicing your timing, because the turn-based combat was very timing-based, so you had to learn patterns, and that felt like you were being involved in the battle rather than just watching it. And it was just lovely. Lovely game, one of the best games I've ever played, I think. Big special surprise, and really enjoyed it. No difficulty at all in my game of the year for that one.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think I didn't know, listeners, that was James's game of the year, but when he mentioned in a recent monthly episode that it's one of the best games he'd ever played, I thought it's definitely going to be up there. Yeah. And what a year for Claire Obscure. I mean, getting Game of the Year at the Keeleys, the Game Awards, getting Xbox Game of the Year from IGN, and now being James's top Game of the Year in the Ixon Games 2025 Games of the Year show. So, I mean, they're going to be dining out on this one for a very long time.
It doesn't really get any better, does it?
I think it does. I wouldn't know. I've never been your favourite Game of the Year, but maybe next year. That sounded very, very homoerotic. So yeah. let's move on. Before we get to my final game of the year, just we brought in some top games from other people and a special feature from Joshua. So got an email from a regular listener from day one. And more than friend of the show, Hannah, who gave her top, 3 games of the year, because I think we've only played 3 games together. But we do enjoy it. We played Curse of the Golden Idol, which I'm pretty sure was last year, but that definitely featured for her, which is good. Memories starting to go at our age, you know. Super Mario Brothers Wonder was up there as well. I don't know if you've played it, James. It's a sort of old school 2D style Mario on the Switch. It's the wonder aspect of it is that you can transform, so not just in the sort of traditional Mario ways of getting bigger with a mushroom or putting on a raccoon suit to fly, but you can transform into things like a massive elephant, which is particularly fun, and sort of stampeding your way through the rest of the level, destroying blocks and sort of waving your trunk around and causing all kinds of mayhem. So James just raised his eyebrow for any listeners. Not that it's your actual trunk, but it's really fun, and you can play it, I think, up to 4 players, but you can certainly play it as 2 players. So we've been very slowly working our way through that in small chunks, but only because that's just our style when we play together. Really enjoyed it. It's been a load of fun, very inventive, just like, Astrobot or any of those really good platformers, which I'm waiting to get to the most recent Astrobot. But, it's that kind of invention and that mixing things up that I think she certainly said she really enjoyed. And her number one game, coincidentally, is my number one game of the year. And that would be Blueprints, which probably doesn't surprise you, James, now that Claire Obscure had come out earlier in my list. But yeah, Blueprints for me, it was certainly in lots of people's Game of the Year conversation at the start of the year, but tended to not feature so highly as we got towards the end. I think lots of other stuff got released. Also, some of it is about timing, I think, and some of it is that it's just quite niche, but it's definitely my niche. So really enjoyed it. Love puzzles generally, and this is a game heavy on puzzles. There are puzzles within each of the rooms in your mansion that you've inherited from your uncle, as long as you can find the 46th mystery 46th room there. You can keep it. So there are puzzles in the rooms, there are puzzles across multiple rooms, there are puzzles completely outside any of the rooms that you might not even realise are there until you kind of stumble across them or kind of work it out. So that sense of discovery is just amazing about this game. Really, it's a roguelike or roguelite. I can't ever really remember the difference, but it's got random elements. So key thing is you go into the mansion, it's 3D kind of first person exploration. So you go into the mansion, you go into the main hallway, you're presented with 3 doors. Open any of those 3 doors, you get presented with blueprints for 3 rooms. You get to choose which of those rooms you place in that sort of position on a grid, which is the mansion itself. And depending on what you've chosen will determine not just what's in that room, obviously, but also what your routes are from that room. So there is a chance element, which can be quite frustrating. I think some people have kind of found that, and certainly throughout our experience with it, we kind of came across some fairly dismal runs where nothing really interesting happened and we didn't learn very much. But most of the time, for us, and I say us because Hannah and I played it together, which was part of the experience, I think, which made it so good. Most of the times we had our runs, we were learning something. And sometimes that was loads and you felt like you were really getting there. And sometimes that was just a little tidbit which you made a note of. Because that was one of the other fun things, as well as playing the game itself. It very much lent itself. In fact, I think you pretty much had to make notes as you went along, because a lot of the things that you would learn in one playthrough, you would need to remember in another playthrough, potentially days or even weeks down the line. Connecting these pieces, connecting these dots, like the person in the GIF with the mad wall of photos connected by bits of string. So that was us for a very heady few weeks. We were regularly sitting down, playing together, making notes together, quite often going through theories together outside of the game itself, coming up with connections, in the shower or cooking dinner was always particularly fun. And yeah, I think you needed patience, you needed observation, you needed deduction. It could be frustrating, but particularly the memories of those later runs where you had the thrill of either nearly getting there and not quite, or that one run where you realised you were going to actually make it. That was an amazing experience. And to share that with Hannah, I wrote about it on the X and Games website. So if you're listening, you like the sound of this, check that out. Either the review, or I also talked about how it was actually quite sad when we finished it, because I think we both missed that experience. So hopefully we'll find something like that in 2026. But yeah, Blueprints, my game of the year.
Lovely. Yeah, me and Sarah played it together, and then we stopped playing it together because we weren't on the same shifts, and then weeks passed by, and then it's kind of like you'd have to start all over again now because I couldn't remember anything about it. So I didn't like the game. It was a good game, very interesting, very different. Took a while to get into, but it was very good. But I just can't ever imagine finishing it. I'm sure I would have enjoyed it if I did finish it. But,
yeah, I think you definitely need momentum in that game, not least because, as I said, you've got to kind of keep those connections going. But really, that sense of discovery and momentum, I think, is what drove us through it. Yeah. Well, what a top 5? What 2 top 5s? And we didn't. What was it? Just Expedition 33, I think, that was in both of ours.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was quite relieved because at one stage I thought you were going to put Keeper as number 1, and that would have been the end of the podcast. But you didn't. That's good. I could take Prince. I couldn't have taken Keeper.
That's okay. Yeah, Keeper was. I enjoyed it more than you, as listeners to the last episode will know. It nearly made my honourable mentions, but more on that in January's episode, because I've also had a bit of a reflection on Keeper. I think I might have scored it a bit high.
Yeah.
So, excellent. Well, just realised we forgot to mention Scotty's top 3. So thank you, Scotty, for messaging us on Facebook. Again, didn't get to 5 games. Didn't technically get to 3 games, I think, because his top 3 of the year was Sekiro, Dead Space, and Sekiro. But glad to see he is still enjoying it. I can't believe Sekiro is not on Game Pass yet, given that Xbox own Activision, and I keep thinking I'll give it a try when it finally comes to Game Pass, because Scotty does Love that game. It does sound fun, apart from the frustration. And my experience with Souls-likes is one of giving them a try and then deciding they're not for me. So I'd like to give it a try and possibly decide it's not for me. But glad you're enjoying those, Scotty.
My big disappointment with Scotty's list is that none of the 8 games I lent him last Christmas are in his top 5. He's still not touched them yet after having them for a year. So, yeah, just saying. No drama.
Shaved and shaved. If you got to the end of this podcast, Scotty, you've been told we want to see at least some of those. I mean, they don't have to feature in your top 5. You might not like them, but they should be played, absolutely. I'm pretty sure he owes me a game, actually, as well. I think not to make this a dogging on Scotty episode, but I'm pretty sure I had Phoenix Rising, Immortals Phoenix Rising as a review copy at one point. And I'm pretty sure he's got that. So anyway, Scotty, if you're listening, we're on to you. We're coming for our games.
Good. Should we have a ponder about what we're looking forward to for next year?
Yeah, I think so. So this has been an episode about looking back, but you're absolutely right. Time to look forward, coming into 2026. By the time people listen, I'm sure. Should we do one from the backlog and one maybe new game that we're looking forward to?
Yes.
It's almost as if we planned it. What have you got, James?
I forgot we planned it, but now you mention it, yes, it does come back to it. This is what we planned to do. Good. Yeah. So my library's got like 80 odd things in it so far. It's very hard to pick one from my backlog that I want to get involved with. So I'm going to say Alan Wake 2, obviously, because Joel's loved it, and I will love it as soon as I get to it, so that's a big one. Cyberpunk 2077 has been sitting in my backlog for a good few months now. So that it was meant to have been really buggy at the start, but then amazing after a few years, so really looking forward to playing that one. That sounds pretty awesome as well. I'm going to stick with those 2. Fine.
Yeah, well, one of those is mine as well. Cyberpunk's on my list, weirdly. I got a physical copy just off to the side of me, and I keep seeing it in its shrink wrap plastic, thinking I really need to give that a try. As you said, very, very tempting, very well reviewed now, and all the bugs have kind of gone. And also I keep nearly buying the DLC for it because it keeps being on sale. And then I just think, what am I doing? It's a massive game. Play through the game first, Charles. So I'm going to do that. Ironically, the second one on my list is The Witcher 3, which is the game before Cyberpunk from the same developers, which is absolutely ancient by this point. Witcher 4 is now well in development and nearly out. And I loved The Witcher 2, so there's no reason not to play that. The issue with both of those games is they're both very big, and I tend to look at them and think, I don't want to be, committing to that for the next few months. But yeah, okay, I'll join you. Maybe we'll play Cyberpunk in parallel, and we can compare and contrast.
Although also, to be fair, I think there would have been 2 more games of the year in my top 5 this year if I'd have actually got around to playing them, which is Astrobot, which Joshua had, which I've not got around to playing yet. That's obviously going to be awesome. And Split Fiction, which me and Joshua are meant to be playing together, but the copy got misplaced for some time, and now it's not misplaced, so now we can start playing it together. I think they would have both been in my top 5 because they're both meant to be awesome games. So, again, 2 things we need to pick up in January.
Excellent. Yeah, Astrobot is on my Christmas list, so fingers crossed. Come on, Santa, do me proud. Anything coming out next year that you've got your eye on, James, that you think you will actually play, potentially?
There's lots of things I'm meant to be getting for Christmas, but obviously they also already came out this year. So Silent Hill F is obviously the big one from that one. We already talked about Silent Hill 2 earlier. There's a little game involving crime and car racing that's meant to be coming out later in 2026. Can't remember what it's called. It's got 6 in it. So yeah, that's probably going to be good when it comes out. But as discussed in the last episode, I've not played car racing game 4 or 5 yet, let alone 6. So looking forward to it, but in the dim and distant future rather than adjacently soon. There's also a few other little cool things which we talked about last month, weren't there? Love to remember what any of them were. What were they? That cool thingy game, weren't they? Where the Whatsits and the Jobbies. The cartoony one from the people who made Little Nightmares that was called...
Yes. Reanimal?
Reanimal. Looking forward to that. Let's go with that one. That's coming out in February, so it's quite soon. It looks epic. So, Reanimal. Thank you.
Good choice. Yeah, I've got a funny feeling that might be co-op, which is the only thing that would put me off it, being a loner that I am. Although maybe I could play that one with Hannah, so maybe that's the solution. It is 2D as well, so no controlling the camera problems there, which is good. I think coming up, it's going to be allegedly it's due to be quite a strong year for Xbox. It's their 25th anniversary. As someone who has Game Pass, then things that are coming out on Xbox tend to feature more highly on my radar because I know that I'll actually get the chance to play them rather than have to pay the cash over on PlayStation. So Fable, I really love the series.
Yeah.
The only issue there is that if I don't get to The Witcher, then Fable is kind of the same sort of wheelhouse. And if I do get to The Witcher, then Fable is sort of the same wheelhouse. So maybe Fable might be a 2027 game for me. Gears of War I really enjoy, so Gears Edo looks good. But actually there's a game that's hitting, there's a couple of games that are hitting, smaller games that are hitting Game Pass next year, which I really like the look of. Replaced, which is a kind of Blade Runner-esque 2D action game, which I think is also coming out either February or March. So I'll mirror your Reanimal for that one. And I really like the look of that weird, I can't remember the name of it now, the hotel, what's going on in the hotel. Do you remember? It was in the summer showcase. It's sort of a mixture of like Power Wash Simulator and sort of Blueprints and something else. I really just, everything I've heard about that game, apart from the title obviously, which I've suddenly forgotten, really intrigues me. I listened to them on a podcast describing the game, and it just sounds like they're throwing all kinds of weird ideas at it. So yeah, as with this game, where 3, possibly 4 of my top 5 are kind of indies, I think probably what I'll end up playing is lots of smaller games with a kind of weirder, more interesting origin. But
I also think I end up playing 007 First Light because I like those kind of things. That sounds a lot of fun, doesn't it? Sounds like Indiana Jones-esque.
It does look good.
Lots of drama, lots of good plots and voice acting, so that'd be good as well.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, listeners, thank you for joining us for our 2025 Games of the Year. James is demonstrating his lovely rack of reindeer as we speak, to anyone who isn't watching on video. Do feel free to still send in your top 5s. We can feature them in January's episode. And as we've said, it's been a real bumper year for gaming for this year, but also really enjoyed the pod. We get a little summary, a bit like you will as a customer on Spotify. We get a little summary of stats for the pod, which I need to share with you, James, because our listenership's gone up 40% or something this year, which is pretty good. Not from a huge base, it's fair to say, but it's going in the right direction. So again, if you're a long-time listener or a new joiner, thank you for being with us. Hope you enjoyed this show. Join us again on the monthly show. James, anything to share with listeners at this festive time?
No, just a big Happy New Year to everyone. Try and carry on listening. I know it sometimes drags on a little bit, but there are always some nuggets of joy in there, so please do carry on listening. Hope you enjoyed your top 5. Obviously, like Giles said, just shout your top 5 in, and we'll feature them on socials and mention them in January as well. But we've already mentioned a lot of things in the top 5 that we haven't talked about before, such as Dispatch. So if you want to hear more about Dispatch, listen to the January episode when we'll be talking about it in much more detail. Also, check out the website. We'll put the top 5 on the website with our reviews and all that kind of jazz as well, and some graphics and probably a GIF or something on there as well. So we shall see. So get involved, and we'll see you again in the new year. It's going to be a great year, even better than this year, hopefully.
Yeah. See you January for more Aches and Games. Cheers, everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.